Hello and welcome to Japanese Wrestling with the Maritime Warrior. And today's episode, we will be talking about the rise and fall of the JWA. The JWA went by Japan Pro Wrestling Alliance and Japan Pro Wrestling Association. And it was started by one man, the father of Puroresu, Rikidozan. Born in Korea, he was given the name Kim Sin-rak, and he would come to Japan to start a sumo wrestling career where he was given the name of Rikidozan. After 10 years in sumo wrestling, he would retire. There were a few reasons for the retirement. One was racism because he was Korean born. Other problems had to do with his stable boss, but he ended his sumo career and started a wrestling career not long after. He would make his wrestling debut in 1951 in the United States of America. In 1953, he would return to Japan and help form the JWA. The first big storylines to happen in the JWA would see Rikidozan team up with Masahiko Kimura to take on Mike and Ben, the Sharp brothers. This storyline of the Japanese heroes beating the evil Americans would be used for decades to come, even though the Sharp brothers were actually Canadian. On December 22, 1954, a match to crown the first ever Japanese heavyweight champion would take place between Rikidozan and Masahiko Kimura. The original plan was to have a 60-minute time limit draw, but Rikidozan would actually shoot on Kimura, knocking him out and take the title for himself. One of the first double cross in Japanese wrestling history. In 1955, Rikidozan would add more gold as he would be crowned the first ever All-Asia heavyweight champion. Rikidozan would also have a successful tag team with Toyo Nobori. They would win the All-Asia tag team titles on 4 separate occasions. On August 27, 1958, Rikidozan would get the biggest win of his career when he would defeat Luthez to win the NWA International Heavyweight Championship. Between 1958 and 1963, Rikidozan would defend the international title versus such stars like Don Leo Jonathan, Enrique Torres, Mr. Atomic, and The Destroyer. On December 8th, Rikidozan was stabbed by Yakuza member Katsushi Murata. Rikidozan would seek out medical attention, but after doing so, he would not rest like the doctor told him to do, would continue to drink heavily, and his injury would take a turn for the worst. On December 15th, 1963, Rikidozan would pass away from his injuries at the age of 39. With the death of Rikidozan, the question was, how can the JWA survive? They would look to Rikidozan's top 2 pupils, Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki. Baba and Inoki would form a great tag team, but in reality, they were rivals. They both wanted that number 1 spot left behind by Rikidozan. The JWA ultimately saw more money in pushing Giant Baba than they did Antonio Inoki. Both Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki would make their debuts on the same night, on September 30th, 1960. Giant Baba would get the win in his debut, but Antonio Inoki would not. Giant Baba was eventually sent on excursion to the United States of America, but Antonio Inoki was kept in Japan. Baba being sent on excursion happened before Rikidozan's passing. So once Rikidozan passed away, the JWA called Giant Baba immediately. They wanted him back, and they wanted him back as the ace. Baba would agree, and Baba would return to Japan. In the time between Rikidozan's passing and Giant Baba returning, the de facto ace was Toyo Nobori, and his time as ace was not a good one. He could never fill the shoes of Rikidozan. Toyo Nobori was also one of 4 wrestlers running things in the JWA. Unhappy with being replaced by Giant Baba as the ace, Toyo Nobori would leave the JWA in 1965 to create his own promotion, Tokyo Pro Wrestling. He would take a few wrestlers with him, but he needed an ace, and that ace would be Antonio Inoki. Toya Nobori would convince Antonio Inoki to join him in the Tokyo Pro Wrestling after he told Inoki that Inoki would always be in the shadow of the much bigger Giant Baba in the JWA. Tokyo Pro Wrestling would have a successful first show with Inoki main eventing versus Johnny Valentine, but it would all go down from there. Toya Nobori had a gambling problem, and that would make the Tokyo Pro budget very tight. In 1967, Tokyo Pro Wrestling would fold and Antonio Inoki would return to the JWA. Upon Inoki's return, he would start a very successful tag team with Giant Baba known as the BI Cannon. Giant Baba was fully pushed as the ace of JWA at this point, and he was even the NWA International Heavyweight Champion. The NWA International Heavyweight title was almost considered a World Heavyweight title because people saw it as Ricky Dozan's championship. The BI Cannon would immediately become a popular tag team. They would even win the NWA International Tag Team titles 4 times. This partnership with Baba and Inoki would actually push Inoki as the number 2 guy in the JWA. The JWA would become so popular that a second TV channel would show interest in having JWA matches. The JWA was already on NTV, but now NET-TV wanted a piece of the pie. How would they solve this? Each channel would have their own superstar. Giant Baba would be exclusive to NTV, and Antonio Inoki would be exclusive to NET-TV. This would unfortunately split the rosters, and cliques would start being formed in the locker rooms. On NTV, Baba would defend the NWA International Heavyweight title, but on NET-TV, Inoki would be given the NWA United National Heavyweight title. One thing both Baba and Inoki wanted was a match with each other. Inoki wanted the match a lot more than Baba because Baba was already the big star. Inoki needed those matches with Baba to become a bigger star. Because even as the exclusive to NET-TV and being the United National Heavyweight Champion, he was still number 2 behind Baba. The Battle of BI Cannon would have been nothing but money, but the JWA refused to do the match. Some people say the reason they kept saying no is the Japanese hero versus the foreign heel still was working. Why fix it if it's not broken? But a lot of people wanted to see Inoki versus Baba. The fans wanted to see it, and the JWA denied it. But this would never stop Antonio Inoki from trying to get the match. At a press conference in 1971, Inoki would challenge Baba for a match. During the press conference, Baba was actually in the ring wrestling a match, so they had no clue he was going to do this. Baba never gave him the okay, the JWA never gave him the okay, and Giant Baba was very mad. Baba saw this as Inoki going into business for himself. The beginning of the end of the JWA would happen when Antonio Inoki and wrestler Umanosuke Ueda would plan to take over the JWA. Ueda would end up ratting on Inoki and everybody involved in this plan to the heads of the JWA, and would even claim that Giant Baba was involved, even though he was not. After the final match with the BI Cannon, Antonio Inoki would be fired from the JWA. The JWA was not out of the woods yet, though. The problems were still very much there, and now you have one of your stars on one of your TV shows fired. Inoki was the exclusive star of NET-TV. How would they fix this problem? The only solution for NET-TV? Give them Giant Baba. They wanted Giant Baba on the show, and the JWA agreed to that. Now the problem is, Baba is supposed to be exclusive to NTV. So now NTV isn't very happy with this. So NTV would end their relationship with the JWA. At the same time that all this is happening, Giant Baba is looking to leave the JWA. Also during this time period, Antonio Inoki is planting the seeds of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Giant Baba would finally make his move, and he would leave the JWA. When Antonio Inoki got fired, he took some of the talent of the JWA and was looking to start his own wrestling promotion. Giant Baba, in leaving the JWA, would do the exact same thing and was also in talks with NTV. Baba was starting to plant the seeds that would become All Japan Pro Wrestling. With Giant Baba gone, the JWA would finally close its doors in 1973. With Ricky Dozan's widow's blessings, all the titles would go to All Japan Pro Wrestling, the NWA International Heavyweight title and Tag Team titles, the All Asia Tag Team titles, the All Asia Heavyweight title, and eventually the United National title. Once Baba started All Japan Pro Wrestling, he would also create the PWF Heavyweight title and Tag Team titles. By the late 80s, the NWA International Heavyweight title, PWF Heavyweight title, and NWA United National Heavyweight title would all be unified to create the All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown Heavyweight title. The NWA International Tag Team titles would be unified with the PWF Tag Team titles to create the All Japan World Tag Team Championships, and the All Asia Tag Team titles would be their own titles. The All Asia Heavyweight title would be on Kentaro Oki for many years and would officially be retired in 1995 before the title would make a return in 2018. When Antonio Inoki started New Japan Pro Wrestling, he started using the NWF Heavyweight title and North American title as its two top titles. They would also get championship belts from the WWF, the WWF International Heavyweight title, the WWF International Tag Team titles, and the WWF Junior Heavyweight title. Eventually, Inoki would start the IWGP titles, the International Wrestling Grand Prix. It started as a tournament, but eventually we got the IWGP Heavyweight title, Tag Team titles, and Junior Heavyweight title. Giant Baba would pass away on January 31st, 1999 at the age of 61, and Antonio Inoki would pass away on October 1st, 2022 at the age of 79. With the death of the two pupils of Ricky Dozan, Giant Baba, and Antonio Inoki, that's the end of this video. 3 champions, 3 Hall of Famers, 3 legends. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.